Ingrid Bergman was an international film star. The American Film Institute recognized her as the fourth greatest female screen legend of classic Hollywood in 1999. She was always willing to be herself in front of the camera and wouldn't let anyone change her appearance or personality. She kept her fighting spirit alive while raising her children. Keep watching to learn what Ingrid's daughter has to say about her mother 40 years later. Ingrid's early life. Ingrid Bergman was born August 29, 1915, in Stockholm, Sweden. Her future rise to becoming a queen of international cinema was foreshadowed by her being named after the Princess of Sweden at the time. She lost her mother when she was a toddler. She was raised as an only child after her two siblings died before birth. Her father ran a photography shop to support the family. He supported her interest in the creative arts and reportedly wanted her to become an opera star. Her father unfortunately died in 1929 when she was 14 after a battle with stomach cancer. His unmarried sister Ellen, who became her mother figure, died only 6 months later. That left her in the care of her paternal uncle Otto and his wife Hulda and their 5 children. She described being without her parents as living with an ache that she wasn't even always aware of. Ingrid still worked to achieve her dreams, though. She got a scholarship to the Royal Dramatic Theatre School in 1930. She only stayed a year before moving on to pursue film acting full-time. Her first role was in a film as an extra in 1932's Landskamp. Her first speaking role was in Muckbrogreven in 1934, which got her a studio contract with Gustav Molander. Becoming an international star. American producer David O. Selznick saw Ingrid's work in Intermezzo and hired her for his English remake. She was unsure of her English-speaking ability and whether the American audience would accept her. She expected she'd complete this one film and return to Sweden, back to her husband Peter and their daughter Pia. The film was successful, and the cast and crew loved her as much as the viewers. David signed her to a multi-year contract. She appeared in the 1940 Broadway production of Liliom before moving to Hollywood. Her early work impressed, such as Adam Had 4 Sons in 1941 and Rage in Heaven in 1942. But her breakout role came in 1942's Casablanca. That movie is still considered one of the best of all time and made her a genuine movie star. It earned her roles in others such as For Whom the Bell Tolls, and she won her first Academy Award for 1944's Gaslight. She also worked with Alfred Hitchcock in 1945's Spellbound. Ingrid wanted more challenging roles after that. She returned to Broadway in a production of Joan of Lorraine. She also played the title character in 1948's Joan of Arc. That movie had at least one thing in common with her final collaboration with Hitchcock under Capricorn. They were both flops. She knew her career wasn't going where she wanted it to. That's why she wrote a letter to Italian director Roberto Rossellini asking to work with him. Scandal. Ingrid began working with Roberto on the 1950 film Stromboli. They were both married but began an affair. Seeing the actress who developed such a saintly image do such a thing caused an international scandal. Swedish journalists said she had marred the country's reputation. It even got her reprimanded on the floor of the U.S. Senate. She once said she couldn't understand why the public thought she was, quote, pure and full of nobleness. But they did, based on her beauty and the roles she played. It only got worse when it was discovered she was pregnant with Roberto's child. She asked her husband for a divorce. He initially refused, but finalized the divorce after she gave birth to her son, whom she named after his father. She did 2 more films with Roberto and had 2 more children with him, twins Isabella and Isota. Sadly, they got divorced in 1956. Many of the movies the scandalous couple made have been considered masterpieces looking back. The Venice Film Festival ranked Stromboli among the 100 most important Italian films of 1942 to 78. A contentious but confident comeback. Hollywood wouldn't touch Ingrid for years. Multiple other alleged affairs and a permanently tarnished image meant her name wasn't an asset anymore. That is, until she returned with the American film Anastasia in 1956. It won her a second Academy Award. That was enough to get her foot back in the door. Her next roles included Indiscreet, Cactus Flower, and another Academy Award for 1974's Murder on the Orient Express. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in the early 70s, though she continued to work through the pain. She starred in the 1978 musical Autumn Sonata and considered it her swan song. Her true final work, in the 1982 TV film Golda, even earned her an Emmy. She died at age 67, August 28, 1982. Ingrid's legacy. Ingrid once said she went from saint to whore and back to saint again in one lifetime. It seemed the world remembered her in a positive light in the end, though. The LA Times and New York Post posted the story of her death on the front page. The Venice Film Festival honored her on the first anniversary of her death. There was also a centennial celebration in 2015. Universities and museums around the world held tributes, did readings of her letters, and screened her films. She also said that happiness is good health and a bad memory. Despite that, she always carried around items with her to remember the good times. They could be photos of her children, her first wedding dress, or autographed books from friends like Ernest Hemingway. What does her daughter think? Isabella remembers that her mother once told her, quote, "I always knew that I was going to be famous." This came true, but she was never more than mama to her children. She wasn't always present, but was a charming, compelling force when she was. Isabella regrets that Ingrid never got to see her daughter's success as an actress and model. She's appeared in successful films like Death Becomes Her, Blue Velvet, and Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. She's also the face of Lancôme Cosmetics and guest starred on the hit sitcom Friends. She has a one-woman show called Darwin's Smile that travels around America. It shows off her master's degree in animal behavior and conservation. Isabella says she thinks of her mother every day. She'd love to be able to thank her and tell her how much of an influence she had on her life. She also feels like her admiration for her mother grows every day. She, of course, respects her career, but also recognizes how hard she fought as a female actor. She says her mother was an independent and strong woman, an attitude that may have grown when her parents died. She gives an example from when Ingrid was offered a part in 1939's Intermezzo. The director insisted on changing her appearance, but Ingrid refused. She said she already had a successful Swedish career and didn't need to change herself. Isabella compares her mother's energy to that of a Viking. She always had to catch up, but still feels that way today. Her own daughter, Elettra, inherited the attitude. She also has passed on a piece of advice that Ingrid taught her, the idea that women shouldn't feel guilty for working. It gives them independence and self-determination. Isabella has done more to honor her mother than videos or words. She's founded what's known as Mama's Farm in her honor. The 28-acre spread of land in Brookhaven, New York is designed after a classic Italian piazza. It offers theater, workshops, community-supported agriculture, and a boutique. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite role from Ingrid Bergman? Let us know in the comments section below.